I was the broke loser specially admitted into an elite private school, just because I chose to sit next to the school beauty when picking seats. She immediately started mocking me coldly. Seriously, I've never been pursued by some broke pathetic simp like this in my entire life. Do you guys even understand how embarrassing this is? Getting chased by a guy like him is so humiliating I can't even hold my head up in front of my friends. Yet no one could have imagined that besides being the second-ranked student in the grade, I also had another identity. And so, the school beauty who humiliated me endlessly in the morning, boldly confessed her feelings to me that very afternoon. Chapter 01. The placement test results for senior year came out, and I ranked second in the entire grade. The homeroom teacher even gave up morning self-study so we could choose our seats according to our scores. In the middle of the third row were 4 side-by-side seats with the best view in the classroom. I hesitated for a moment before sitting down in one of them. The moment I sat down, Willow, beside me, frowned in disgust. Her expression was so obvious that nearly everyone lined up at the classroom door noticed it. After morning study session ended, a few classmates mocked me from the side. So the eternal second-place guy actually has the nerve to sit with the school beauty. Can't you tell how disgusted she is by you? Ugly, broke, and clueless. What a pathetic loser. 4 eyes. What exactly are you using to chase Willow? Those cheap glasses? They laughed as they reached over to snatch my glasses. I instinctively leaned away, but during the shoving, I accidentally brushed Willow's arm. She sprang to her feet as if she had been burned. My glasses fell to the floor, and one of the boys immediately stepped on them. Willow turned around and asked the girl behind her, "Can we switch seats?" The girl looked up awkwardly. Willow pressed her lips together. "I'll explain it to the teacher later." I crouched down to pick up my glasses while Willow switched seats with lightning speed, like she was escaping from some kind of plague. The lenses were shattered. I shook my head regretfully, but Willow suddenly raised her voice sharply. "Seriously, I've never been pursued by a broke pathetic simp like this before. Do you guys even understand? Being chased by a guy like him is so embarrassing I can't even face my friends." Her tone dripped with mockery. Malicious laughter spread throughout the classroom. The school I attended was an elite private academy. Willow was the kind of girl who had excellent grades, a wealthy family, and a beautiful face, the undisputed school beauty. As for me, I was only a scholarship recruit brought in to boost the school's college admission statistics. In this place, nobody looked up to me. Chapter 02. After lunch, I went back to the dorm for a nap. While my roommates still hadn't returned, I took my phone out of the locker and sneaked into the bathroom. The moment I turned it on, a text message popped up saying that $180,000 had just been deposited into my bank account. It was the income from my live stream last night. Looking at the 7-figure balance in my account, I happily opened the streaming platform. I had joined the platform a little over half a year ago and uploaded more than a dozen singing videos that only showed blurry silhouettes. In just 6 months, I had gained tens of millions of followers. After uploading the latest edited guitar playing clip from last night, I was about to shut my phone off when a new private message suddenly popped up. It was from a fangirl. "I'm so happy today. I got first place in the grade, and you happened to upload a new video too." Her ID was YW, and her profile picture looked strangely familiar. Almost unconsciously, I clicked into our chat history and discovered that she had been messaging me ever since I first started streaming. Over time, she had sent hundreds of messages. She talked about how much she liked me, shared bits of her daily life, and whenever my voice sounded hoarse, she would even remind me to rest properly. Especially recently, her messages had become more and more frequent, and her feelings were becoming impossible to hide. I thought for 2 seconds before replying with a simple "thanks." Then I put away my phone and planned to head back to the classroom to finish 2 more practice exams. A crowd had gathered around my seat. They were all Willow's rich girl friends, excitedly discussing something. One of the girls said with sparkling eyes, "Whoa," he actually replied. "Willow, your luck is seriously amazing today." I walked to my seat and sat down. Their conversation abruptly stopped, and the smile on Willow's face slowly faded as well. One of the girls rolled her eyes at me. "4 eyes, I heard you like Willow. You should give up already." Our Willow already likes someone else. He's a singer with over 10 million followers. Expressionless, I pulled out a test paper. Before I could even open it, Willow said coolly, "TCH," as if he could even compare to G-Man. Only people who've truly fangirled over someone understand this. Real-life love isn't even worth mentioning. My hand froze. G-Man. Wasn't that my short video account ID? I suddenly remembered the private message I replied to at noon. No wonder the profile picture looked so familiar. So YW was Willow. Chapter 03. After classes ended that afternoon, the teacher went over some National Day holiday safety reminders before pulling out a stack of tickets. "These are tickets for the Seagull Square Music Festival. A friend of mine works on the staff and helped me get some extras. Anyone interested can come grab one." The classroom immediately erupted in cheers. and someone shouted out asking which singers would be performing. The teacher projected the lineup onto the screen. A third-tier female singer, some original indie artists, and someone suddenly exclaimed, "No way, Jimin is actually performing there." A classmate whistled, and the next second, Willow, who was always cold and aloof, unexpectedly raised her hand. "Teacher, I want one." At our school, there was a term called the Willow effect. Whatever event Willow participated in, everyone else would rush to join too. So in less than half a minute, all the tickets were gone, because there were only a limited number available. Some people didn't get one. I was one of them. After school, a few classmates blocked me at the classroom entrance, waving their tickets around. They sneered arrogantly. "Hey, Four Eyes, you must really want to go to the music festival with Willow, huh? But a broke loser like you could never afford a ticket. One costs $180, you know." I looked at them expressionlessly. "What do you want?" The guy laughed. "If you crawl under my legs, I'll give you one ticket. How about it?" My gaze swept over the tickets in their hands. The organizer who invited me had already given me a huge stack of tickets. Right now, they were all stuffed inside my backpack. Frowning slightly, I asked in confusion, "Isn't it just a music festival ticket?" They burst out laughing as if I'd said the funniest thing in the world. "Why are you acting so tough? Just a ticket. These things are impossible to get if you're talking so casually. Do you even have one?" "I do." I nodded calmly and, under their stunned gazes, pulled out a thick stack of tickets from my backpack. Chapter 04. By the weekend, Seagull Square was packed with people. Massive banners stretched across the entire plaza, and fans who had traveled from other cities stood in long lines excitedly holding glowing signs. Even more people hadn't managed to get tickets and could only take photos and check in outside the venue. Originally, the organizers wanted to send a car to pick me up, but I didn't want to expose where I lived, so I came early by myself instead. Wearing my school jacket, I squeezed through the crowd toward the entrance. After struggling through the sea of people, I finally reached the ticket checkpoint, and, unfortunately, I ran straight into my classmates. The homeroom teacher was organizing the students who had gotten tickets while they waited to enter. When they saw me, they looked like they'd just seen some kind of monster. Someone blurted out, "George, why are you here?" Another immediately mocked. I knew this pathetic simp wouldn't miss a chance to get close to Willow. Willow was wearing a fluffy white gauze dress. Her striking beauty made her stand out effortlessly in the crowd. Hearing that, she frowned and shot me a cold glance. But when she noticed what I was wearing, her brows furrowed even tighter. The homeroom teacher stared at me disapprovingly. "Even if you came here, you can't get in without a ticket. You should just go home." I pulled a ticket from my pocket. "I have one." Everyone looked even more shocked. "Where did you get that ticket from?" I had no way to explain it. Before I could respond, a few classmates who already disliked me immediately started stirring things up. "You guys don't know this yet, right? George became a scalper to make money. He grabbed a bunch of tickets and came here to resell them." I was speechless. Their imaginations were seriously unbelievable. "Is that true?" the teacher demanded. One student quickly answered, "It has to be true. We all saw a whole stack of tickets in his backpack." Other than scalpers, who buys that many tickets for no reason? Everyone's burning stares landed on me. Even Willow, who usually treated me with nothing but indifference, now revealed obvious disgust in her eyes. The teacher stepped forward, trying to grab me. "You know ticket scalping is illegal, right? Hurry up and leave. Don't embarrass our school." I shoved her hand away and said expressionlessly, "Or, has it ever occurred to you that maybe the organizers gave me those tickets?" Chapter 05. After a brief silence, a burst of mocking laughter exploded from the crowd. They looked at me with ridicule and shouted loudly, "The organizers gave you tickets? George, who the hell do you think you are? Rich, powerful. Everyone in our class comes from wealthy families, and even we didn't get free tickets from the organizers, so why the hell would you?" His words immediately attracted attention from the people nearby, and more curious onlookers gathered around. On one side stood rich heirs and wealthy socialites dressed head to toe in designer brands. On the other side was me, wearing a school uniform and looking dirt poor. No matter how anyone looked at it, my words sounded unbelievable. The homeroom teacher looked utterly humiliated by me, and Willow stopped looking at me altogether, as though my existence itself was offensive to her eyes. With so many people backing them up, they became even bolder. Before I could react, one rich kid suddenly snatched the ticket from my hand and self-righteously declared, "If it was obtained illegally, then there's no point keeping it. I'll take care of it for you." The next second, he tore the ticket apart right in front of me before leaning close to whisper in my ear, "Let's see how you're getting in without a ticket now. You seriously think you're worthy of getting close to Willow?" After speaking, he curled his lips into a sneer and violently shoved me backward. Instantly furious, I raised my fist, ready to hit him, but at that moment, The commotion caught the attention of the staff nearby. The venue manager hurried over with several workers. "What's going on here?" The homeroom teacher quickly explained. "Sorry, one of my students was trying to scalp tickets, but the issue's already been resolved. At events like this, ticket scalpers were looked down on the most." The manager's expression immediately darkened as he walked toward me. "Please leave." His words caused cheers to erupt around us. Expressionless, I stared at him, finally unable to tolerate this anymore. I pulled an invitation letter from my backpack and asked coldly, "Which one of you thinks you're qualified to make me leave?" Chapter 06. The guy who tore my ticket apart was named Makoto. He froze for a second before frowning. "What's that?" The venue manager took the invitation letter from my hand to inspect it. Meanwhile, I replied calmly, "It's an internal invitation to the music festival. Don't tell me you've never seen one before." With so many people watching, there was no way Makoto could admit he didn't know what it was. So he awkwardly tried to save face. "Oh, of course I know what it is. I was just wondering where you got it from. Don't tell me you bought it from your fellow scalpers." The moment he said that, several fans in the crowd immediately looked at him strangely. One of them loudly retorted, "Every invitation letter has the recipient's name printed on it. How would scalpers even sell those?" Makoto's face instantly turned red. After his lie was exposed, he desperately tried to recover, but he stumbled over his words and couldn't say a single coherent sentence. Meanwhile, the venue manager, who had been arrogant moments ago, completely changed his attitude after checking the invitation letter. His tone became polite and respectful. "My apologies. We misunderstood the situation earlier and neglected you. This way please, the VIP lounge is prepared for you." He clearly thought that would settle everything, but I let out a cold laugh, picked up the ticket that had been torn in half from the ground, and repeated, "Scalper." The manager's expression turned awkward. It was all just a misunderstanding, but I interrupted him. Their behavior and false accusations caused me actual losses. Expressionless, I looked at Makoto and the group of students around him. At a music festival this large, causing trouble like this could create a pretty negative impact, don't you think? Everyone present was sharp enough to understand what I meant. The manager instantly caught on. Straightening his face, he turned to Makoto and the others. "You maliciously slandered another guest and destroyed someone else's ticket. I am officially revoking your entry qualifications. Please leave." Makoto's eyes widened in disbelief. "But I bought a ticket," the manager replied. "The ticket cost will be refunded later through the official channel." Makoto gritted his teeth, looking like he wanted to rip me into pieces. There was no way he was willing to leave quietly after humiliating himself like this. But soon, the corners of his lips lifted into a smirk as he turned toward Willow. "Willow, look how far things have escalated. Why don't you help me talk to George? Isn't he your pathetic simp?" Chapter 07. Willow frowned slightly, her gaze sweeping across my face before finally landing on the invitation letter in my hand. For the first time ever, she actually walked toward me. I almost laughed and spoke first. "It doesn't matter who begs for Makoto. It won't change anything." Willow looked down at me with obvious contempt, her tone carrying the air of someone granting charity. "I'm not here to beg for anyone. There's just something I want your help with." I was speechless. Why did she sound like I owed her something? Just as I was about to tell her I wasn't interested, Willow continued, with an internal invitation. "You can meet the singers backstage, right? Could you help me meet Jimin? In exchange, I can." She paused for a few seconds, clenching her hands tightly like she was making some enormous sacrifice. "I can reluctantly let you be my desk mate again." Her best friend stared at her in disbelief. "Willow, do you really have to sacrifice yourself that much?" I was completely speechless. Half a second later, I let out a strange laugh and scattered the torn ticket pieces I'd picked up earlier over her head. "If your brain's sick, go get it treated." Even after I entered the venue, Willow still wore that stunned expression on her face, as though she couldn't believe I had rejected her. If I could, I honestly wanted to tell her that I was Jimin and tell her to stay as far away from me as possible, but I had signed a confidentiality agreement, so my identity still couldn't be revealed. Although, thinking about the timing, the agreement was almost at its expiration date anyway. The music festival was scheduled to last the entire day. The organizers had arranged my performance slot from 6 to 7 in the evening. I ordered takeout and greeted my stylist David while eating. "You're here." The moment David saw me, he finally snapped. "Jimin, I'm begging you to have some mercy." I scratched my head. "Huh? What now?" Grinding his teeth, he pointed at me furiously. "Are you planning to wear those overalls for the rest of your life, bro? Can we please get you into another outfit? And don't even get me started on that hairstyle." I immediately grinned at him. "Don't be mad. Don't be mad. Isn't that why I've got the legendary David here?" "Who's David?" "The entertainment industry's top celebrity stylist. There's definitely enough time." The flattery worked perfectly. David sat down beside me and stole a few bites of my food. Looking deeply disappointed, he sighed. "George, You're a massively popular online singer now. Could you at least manage your image a little? I kept stuffing food into my mouth and ignored him. He sighed again. Then again. If you actually cared about your image, you wouldn't show up at school looking like that every day. I looked at him speechlessly. What kind of image? He answered weakly. A sloppy one. After half an hour of styling, he finally lifted his chin proudly and pointed toward the mirror. Look at that. Who the hell would still think you're a high school student now? I ran a hand through my hair and couldn't help sighing dramatically, as expected of my legendary David, obviously. Right then, a staff member poked their head inside and said someone outside was looking for me. A guy or a girl? David immediately asked. The staff member answered knowingly. A girl. She's holding a bouquet of flowers. And honestly, she's pretty gorgeous. Chapter 08. I walked out of the room. In the hallway, a tall girl stood with her back facing me. The moment she heard footsteps, she quickly turned around. It was actually Willow. She wore a white veil and held a bouquet of flowers in her arms. The vivid colors made her flushed face look even brighter. Anyone who didn't know better would have thought she was here for a wedding. Speechless, I stopped several meters away and looked at her coldly. Willow didn't notice anything wrong with my expression. Instead, she looked completely overwhelmed with excitement, staring straight at me. After a long pause, her voice trembled slightly. I finally got to meet you. What do you want? I asked. Honestly, I wasn't surprised that Willow had managed to appear here. The Liu family was one of the most influential families in the city. Pulling strings like this was easy for them. Willow Liu stepped forward excitedly, but I instinctively took 2 steps back. Her smile faded slightly, though she still gathered her courage and held the bouquet out toward me. Hi, my name is Willow. I'm a student at No. 1 high school. I really love your songs, and I was hoping we could be friends. The Willow standing before me seemed like an entirely different person from the cold, arrogant girl at school who always acted superior to everyone. Just this morning at the ticket checkpoint, she had looked down on me with utter disdain. I stared at her and asked, "You really didn't recognize me?" Willow blinked in confusion. Huh? Then she hurriedly continued talking on her own. Of course I recognized you. You even replied to my private messages before. Even though all your videos only show blurry silhouettes, I've followed you for half a year. I recognized you instantly. As she spoke, she even opened her private message page for me to see. I couldn't even be bothered to raise my eyelids. Got it. Take the flowers away. She froze. What's wrong? Willow asked softly, sounding disappointed. You don't like them? I almost laughed. Can't you tell? It's not that I dislike the flowers. I dislike you. Willow's pupils suddenly contracted. The bouquet slipped from her hands and crashed onto the floor. The usually proud and untouchable school beauty now looked so panicked she was practically on the verge of tears. She asked shakily, Did I do something wrong? I shrugged. I saw everything that happened at the entrance this morning. Then I looked directly at her and said calmly, To be honest, I really dislike people like you. Chapter 09. After that, I went to prepare for the performance. This wasn't my first time participating in an offline event. Looking at myself on the monitor, even I had to admit I looked nothing like the version of me at school. After the performance ended, David left because he had other work to do, while I stayed behind signing autographs for fans. I stayed busy until nearly 11 at night. When the crowd finally began to disperse, I stuffed my stage outfit into my backpack and dragged my exhausted body toward the exit. George, stop right there. Makoto, who had been kicked out earlier that morning, stood in the shadows with several lackeys, his expression dark as he called out to me. Instinctively, I swung my backpack onto my shoulder and asked impatiently, What now? Makoto noticed my movement. He and the others immediately rushed forward to snatch the bag. During the struggle, the backpack ripped open. Holy shit, isn't this the outfit G-Man wore on stage? Oh, now I get it. No wonder you had an invitation letter. So you were just doing backstage grunt work. I froze for a second. Honestly, compared to believing I was a superstar influencer with tens of millions of followers, they'd much rather believe I was just some backstage errand boy. After reassuring himself of that conclusion, Makoto became even more confident. He looked at me and said word by word, Give me the stuff. But Makoto only laughed. This stuff wasn't yours to begin with. A broke loser like you only wants it so you can sell it for money. Right, if you can take it, so can we. What? You got a problem with that? Then let's fight. As he spoke, he gestured for his lackeys to surround me. Just as the tension was about to explode, Willow, who had been standing silently in the corner, suddenly walked over. The flowers in her hands had already wilted, petals scattered all over the ground behind her. The moment she approached, the guys surrounding me automatically stepped aside for her. Willow stared at me coldly, her eyes filled with resentment. I looked slightly disheveled at the moment, but I still frowned at her in confusion. The next second, Willow suddenly threw the bouquet directly into my face. Before I could even speak, she shouted at me with disgust dripping from every word. If it weren't for you, G-men would never hate me. George, you should just disappear. Chapter 10. I was so angry I actually laughed. Willow, are you seriously fucking insane? Willow let out a cold snort, no longer looking at me. Instead, she turned to Makoto and said, I'll leave him to you. Makoto instantly looked overjoyed. With Willow encouraging him, he became even more excited. Grinning maliciously, he said, since Willow said so, we'll definitely give him a lesson he'll never forget for the rest of his life. Then he barked at his lackeys. Beat the hell out of him. The moment his words fell, the guys immediately surrounded me. Some shoved me, some kicked me. The whole scene instantly descended into chaos. Makoto stood behind the crowd with his hands in his pockets, wearing a smug grin. The next second, another punch swung toward me. I didn't dodge. I took the hit head on. Then the moment the guy got close enough, I slammed into him and charged straight toward Makoto. Someone behind me grabbed at me, but I shook him off violently. Another kick landed on my back, making me stumble, but I still managed to seize Makoto by the collar. The smile on his face froze instantly. I raised my fist and smashed it directly into his face. People rushed at me again from all sides, but I ignored everyone else completely. I held onto Makoto like a madman and punched him over and over across the nose. Makoto's face was soon covered in blood as he screamed furiously. Fuck, what the hell are you idiots doing? Ah, fuck, what are you doing? Hold him down. Pin this bastard properly. In the end, one person couldn't fight off 4 hands forever. I was eventually forced to the ground by all of them together. Enraged, Makoto stood up and lifted his foot, preparing to kick me, but at that exact moment, a Rolls-Royce stopped by the roadside. The car door opened, and David stepped out with a dark expression, striding toward us. What the hell do you think you're doing? His voice wasn't loud, but it was terrifyingly cold. David was 6'3", with the broad shoulders and solid build of someone who worked out year-round. The moment he stood there, everyone froze in fear. After snapping back to his senses, Makoto pressed a hand over his bleeding nose and demanded, "Who the hell are you?" Someone beside him tugged on his sleeve nervously. "I know him. He's David, the celebrity stylist. He's really close with G-man. They play games together all the time." Willow's expression changed instantly. David G.E. David raised a hand and cut her off directly. With a cold laugh, he pointed at them. "You all just wait." Then he took me straight into the car. Inside the car, he glared at me darkly. "Are you brain dead? You didn't know how to call the police, or at least call security." I stared at the scenery moving past outside the window, my mood terrible beyond words. Helplessly, I said, "I signed a confidentiality agreement. There are still 2 months left. I don't want this getting too big." David frowned. That trash media company is fucking garbage. But after cursing once, he didn't complain anymore. I sighed. Back then, I was too young. For money, I carelessly signed with some third-rate media company. The company was afraid I'd overshadow their other talents. So aside from managing my account, they never helped me arrange offline appearances. Even when I accepted events on my own, my identity still had to remain secret. Otherwise, it would count as a contract violation, and I'd have to pay an enormous penalty fee. David asked, "So what now? Can you even stay at that shitty school anymore?" I shrugged. "I'll just ignore them." David waved a hand dismissively. "Forget that. I've got an empty villa sitting around anyway. Come stay at my place." I frowned and thought about it for a moment. That works. With my grades, even if I stopped going to school altogether, I'd still pass every exam easily. Chapter 11. That very night, David drove me to the largest villa district in the city. After that, I applied to the school for permission to study from home while preparing for exams. The homeroom teacher naturally agreed immediately. After all, my reputation in class had always been terrible. My seat became permanently empty. Rumors about me spread wildly across the school forum. Some people said I was too humiliated to return after being rejected by the school beauty, Willow. Others claimed I had embarrassed myself at the music festival. Of course, even more people simply didn't care that I was gone. Some were even happy about it. Inside the villa, I was busy solving practice problems when David tossed me a bottle of soda. "So, did you upload the new song yet?" I nodded. "Yeah. Help me manage the comments section for a bit. I'm finishing this test paper first." "Got it." David casually scrolled through the screen before suddenly frowning in confusion. "Who's this? You actually replied to her?" I glanced over. Over the past few days, Willow had sent me countless more private messages, writing long explanations trying to justify herself. After thinking for a moment, I said, "Give me the phone." I took it from him and cleanly blocked her account. I stayed at David's house all the way until January before finally returning to school. Because final exams were here. I had skipped the midterms before, but there was no avoiding the finals. This was a joint examination held by 7 top universities, and every student was required to attend. The seating arrangements were based on grades. Willow and I were seated first and second respectively. Before the exam started, Willow suddenly said to me, "Don't leave after the test. I have something I want to ask you." After what happened last time, I rejected her without even thinking. Willow frowned tightly. "I just want to ask you something, that's all." Expressionless, I replied. "Then ask now." Willow took a deep breath. At that moment, the proctor walked into the classroom and glanced at us. "You two are the best students in this school. So let me remind you of something. This exam is extremely important. Outstanding results could even lead to direct admission into Tsinghua University or Peking University. Everyone must be in their best condition for this test." Chapter 12. The teacher's words successfully pulled Willow's attention away. She no longer had the nerve to keep talking to me. After the morning Chinese exam ended, I headed to the cafeteria for lunch. I had just gotten my food when Willow sat down directly across from me. The people beside her stared at me with unfriendly expressions. "George, do you know Jimin?" I continued eating calmly before asking in return. "So what if I do?" Willow frowned at me. "You definitely know him. Otherwise, why would David help you? And how else could you have gotten that invitation letter?" I looked up impatiently. "So what exactly do you want?" Willow looked irritated, but she still forced herself to stay calm. "He blocked my account. I want you to help explain things to him." I cut her off mercilessly. "Explain what? That your little clique bullying people somehow wasn't real?" "George, stop being so aggressive." Willow suddenly raised her voice angrily. Feeling wronged, she snapped. "You used to like me, didn't you? Then you should understand how painful it feels to like someone who ignores you." I was speechless. At that moment, even the food in my hand suddenly stopped tasting good. Wearing the exact expression of an old man staring at a phone on the subway, I looked at her and asked, "Willow, are you mentally okay?" "What?" I replied. "Who told you I liked you?" I stood up. "And let me tell you something, however much I hate you, Jimin hates you just as much." Willow stared at me in disbelief. "George, what gives you the right to say that?" I turned around and walked away, unwilling to waste another second talking to this lunatic. When I returned to the dorm, David was sprawled across my bed like he owned the place. The moment he saw me, he grinned and waved me over. Surprised, I looked at him. "What are you doing here?" He answered casually, "Your school invited me for the final performance showcase." David flashed me a mischievous grin. A terrible feeling instantly rose in my chest. "It's not that simple, is it?" David gave me a look that practically said smart boy before laughing shamelessly. "Of course not. The person they actually invited was Jimin. But don't worry, I already accepted on your behalf." I was speechless. He continued, "Don't look at me like that. Your contract already expired, which means I'm officially your manager now. Naturally, I can accept events for you." Then he grinned even wider. Only idiots turn down easy money. Chapter 13. After the afternoon exams ended, David immediately started arranging for people to completely transform my appearance. Speechless, I tugged at the corner of my mouth. "Is all this really necessary?" David answered seriously, "Of course it is. You don't have to keep hiding yourself anymore. This is your first public event after revealing your real image. So naturally we have to treat it seriously." After thinking about it, I realized he had a point. So I let him do whatever he wanted. Once all the preparation was done, David sighed helplessly. "It'd be even better if this performance wasn't for this trash school. But whatever, money's money." Even though both of us disliked this school from the bottom of our hearts, we had to admit its facilities were incredible. The enormous auditorium could hold over 5,000 students. Aside from the performances prepared by the students themselves, the biggest attraction tonight was me. The lights suddenly went dark, the curtains slowly rose. I sat alone in the center of the stage, holding a guitar. Even through the school's terrible sound equipment and muddy audio quality, my voice still cut cleanly through the entire auditorium. After performing 3 songs, I returned backstage to drink some water and rest. Just then, the lounge door opened. Makoto walked in with several lackeys, all smiling ingratiatingly as they approached me. "Bro, we're huge fans. Can you give us an autograph?" I set my water bottle down on the table. "No." Makoto's expression instantly collapsed. "Why not?" I answered bluntly. "Because I don't like the look of you. If there's nothing else, get out." My completely unapologetic response crushed his fragile pride. His true colors instantly surfaced as he cursed angrily. "What the fuck are you acting so arrogant for? You're just some internet singer. Do you really think you're some celebrity now? If it weren't for Willow, do you think I'd give a damn about your autograph?" I glanced toward the doorway and couldn't help sighing internally. Makoto clearly had no idea how terrifying obsessive fans could be, so I gave him a half smile and asked, "Oh, so you really look down on me that much?" He sneered. "Obviously. Trashy internet beggars like you are nothing but washed up nobodies. How the hell do you think you're worthy of comparing yourself to?" Before he could finish speaking, the lounge door was suddenly shoved open. The next second, slap. Willow viciously slapped Makoto across the face. She shrieked furiously. How dare you talk about my G-man like that? Makoto was completely stunned. He hurriedly tried apologizing to Willow, but Willow said coldly, "Apologize to G-man." Makoto gritted his teeth and glared at me with hatred burning in his eyes, but with Willow standing there, he could only unwillingly force out a miserable apology. I casually played with my phone without responding. Willow looked at me carefully, her voice trembling. Is that still not enough? Should I make him apologize again? No. I shook my head calmly. Even if he apologized 10,000 times, I still wouldn't forgive him. Then I locked my phone screen and pointed directly at her. That includes you. A deeply wronged expression appeared on Willow's face. Her voice even carried the hint of tears. I really don't understand what I did wrong. At that moment, the lounge door opened again. David leaned lazily against the doorframe and smiled at me. George, let's go. Chapter 14. That single sentence hit like a thunderbolt. The expression on Willow's face shifted from shock to scrutiny, and finally to complete disbelief. Makoto and the others looked like they'd just seen a ghost. Staring fixedly at my face, Makoto shouted, "He's George, that broke loser. No fucking way." Willow bit down on her lip. Although she didn't speak, the expression on her face clearly revealed she felt exactly the same. David walked over and casually replied, "But he is George." Then he glanced at Willow, the corners of his mouth curling into an amused smile. "G-man is George." Only then did Willow finally look directly at me. I calmly packed up the things on the table and casually slipped my student ID back into my backpack. That completely confirmed it. Seeing that I was about to leave, Willow finally gathered the courage to grab onto my sleeve. I looked at her expressionlessly. "Anything else?" Her lips trembled as though she wanted to explain herself, yet no words came out. My patience finally ran out. I yanked my sleeve free from her hand. Willow hurried after me. "George, David found the whole thing hilarious. "Hey, weren't you usually pretty good at talking? Why are you stuttering now?" Willow's face turned bright red. Finally, she forced herself to speak. "George, I really didn't mean it before. I didn't know you were G-man, and I did a lot of terrible things. Can you forgive me? I really do like you. I bought so many of your digital albums, and I liked and saved every single one of your videos." "Let me correct you," I interrupted coldly. "You're full of malice toward people you look down on, and you enjoy encouraging your pathetic simps to bully others however they want." I looked straight into her eyes. "So it's not that you suddenly realized bullying is wrong. You just realized you bullied the wrong person." Willow immediately panicked and tried to explain herself. "That's not true. It was them." But I couldn't even be bothered wasting more words on her. I turned around and walked away directly. Chapter 15. No one knew how news of my school performance leaked out, but the very next day, a huge crowd of tabloid reporters rushed to interview the students. Since nobody had been informed beforehand, the reporters ended up getting the freshest first-hand information possible. Very quickly, the story about me being bullied at school shot straight onto the trending charts. Among all the names mentioned, Makoto and his group appeared the most frequently. Curious netizens started digging deeper and deeper until eventually, all the things Makoto and the others had done were completely exposed online. Of course, my background was uncovered too. The discussions on Weibo grew more intense by the hour. One commenter wrote, 18 years old, earning over $1 million a month, and still ranking near the top academically every year. Apparently everyone in this world except me is a genius. Another said, he works this hard and still keeps improving himself. Seriously, what right did those people have to look down on him? Someone else commented, and the teacher didn't even stop it. That's basically encouraging school bullying. Another user sighed. This kid really had it rough. His parents died early. He worked hard to support himself, and he still got bullied by a bunch of human trash. As for me, the person at the center of all this chaos, I was called back to school by my homeroom teacher. Besides me, Willow and Makoto's group were there too. Expressionless, I sat down across from the teacher. Her face looked unpleasant as she glared at me. George, what exactly do you think you're doing? I let out a small huh before asking. Teacher, which matter are you referring to? The homeroom teacher slammed a document onto the desk in front of me. When we admitted you into this school, the agreement clearly stated that you were not allowed to rank first in the grade. She stared at me sharply. So what exactly is the meaning of these scores? Willow and the others immediately looked confused. Wasn't the teacher supposed to discuss the online controversy? Why had the topic suddenly shifted to grades? Under their uncertain gazes, I opened the document. It was the citywide ranking sheet from the most recent joint university entrance examination. At the very top of the first page, in the very first line, my name was written clearly. George, 734 points, first place in the entire city. Chapter 16. The moment the scores were revealed, Everyone instantly forgot about the fact that I was G-man and stared at my results in utter disbelief. Willow's voice even sounded shaky as she whispered, "Weren't you always ranked second in our school?" I didn't look at her. Instead, I answered the homeroom teacher's question calmly. Before signing the agreement, the school gave me $50,000 according to the contract. Breaking it means paying triple the amount back, $15,000. I paused slightly. With my scores, Tsinghua University and Peking University would both practically guarantee me admission. Do you really think I can't afford the penalty fee? The homeroom teacher's face darkened further. I continued speaking casually. Besides, is that agreement even truly fair or reasonable? If the contents were exposed publicly, sure, I could pay compensation. But could the school handle the public backlash? At those words, the teacher's face finally turned completely black. Slamming her hand onto the desk, she shouted, "George, are you threatening me?" "Not a threat, just advice." I smiled slightly, though the smile never reached my eyes. You people wanted to flatter rich heirs and socialites while deliberately suppressing my grades. For 3 years, you've already squeezed enough benefits out of me. I leaned back slightly. The fact that I'm still sitting here discussing this with you calmly is already the last bit of kindness I'm willing to offer. The teacher's chest rose and fell violently with anger, looking as though she might faint at any second. But in the end, she still held herself back, because after seriously considering it, she knew I was right. After a moment, she spoke again. "The second matter, you need to clarify the negative online rumors surrounding the school." The way she looked at me was no longer falsely warm. "George, I never expected you to hide yourself this deeply." I frowned slightly. "Clarify?" I looked at her, then glanced at Makoto. "What exactly is there to clarify? Aren't all those accusations true?" You. The teacher took a deep breath before forcing herself to continue. "No matter what, the school's reputation must come first." I nodded thoughtfully. "Fine. Easy solution." I pointed toward Makoto and the others. "Make them apologize publicly. I'll upload a video online. Once the gossip crowd sees it, the anger will naturally die down." The moment I proposed that idea, Makoto immediately shouted, "No way." I spread my hands helplessly. "See, it's not that I'm unwilling to cooperate." The homeroom teacher frowned deeply, staring at both me and Makoto for a long time. Finally, she made up her mind. "Fine, but the content of the post must be edited according to the school's requirements." "No problem." And so, under pressure from the homeroom teacher, Makoto and the others unwillingly recorded an apology video. Only after personally watching me upload the post did the teacher finally allow me to leave. The moment I stepped out of the office building, hurried footsteps suddenly sounded behind me. Willow clutched the hem of her skirt nervously and looked at me awkwardly. "George, can we talk?" Chapter 17. I glanced at her and frowned. "Not interested." "George, can you please stop hating me?" The once high and mighty school beauty now looked at me pitifully. "I'm willing to make up for everything I did wrong before. You can make me do anything you want." "Okay. Sure," I answered without even thinking. Hope instantly appeared on Willow's face, but the next second, I said coldly, "Go through everything you once put me through. Only then will I believe a single word you're saying." Willow instantly looked like she had fallen into an ice cave, but I didn't bother with her anymore. I turned around and left the school directly. The truth was, I only said those things to make Willow give up. In reality, I held grudges fiercely. Forgiveness was never happening. After the joint exam scores were released, I quickly received a call from the admissions office of Tsinghua University. After discussing it with David, I ultimately chose Peking University. Once I finished withdrawing from No. 1 high school, David and I boarded a flight headed toward the affiliated campus of Peking University in Beijing. Right after getting off the plane, David hurriedly pulled out his phone. "Here, look at this. It's hilarious." I took the phone from him. It was the post I had uploaded earlier, the one containing Makoto and the others' apology video. Its popularity online had only continued growing. Originally, the post was meant to calm public opinion. Instead, it completely backfired. Netizens flooded the comments section. "They look so unwilling that it makes me sick." When they were bullying people, did they ever think karma would hit them someday too? You can tell they're still cursing him in their heads. People like this don't deserve forgiveness. And just like that, another huge wave of online outrage erupted. At that moment, my phone vibrated. It was a message from the class group chat. I clicked into it, and the corners of my mouth twitched uncontrollably. Someone had actually turned me and Willow into memes. Even worse, Willow had been edited into a dog crawling at my feet. The group chat was spamming those stickers nonstop. The screen refreshed so fast it became impossible to read anything else. "Are you people really this bored?" I typed. Very quickly, Willow replied as well. "George, they always humiliated you before by calling you my simp. Now I'm posting this meme instead. Can you forgive me now?" I stared at the screen full of question marks in my head. She was seriously insane. I immediately deleted the group chat altogether. Finally, my eyes could have some peace and quiet again. Chapter 18. After that, Willow kept trying to contact me again and again, but every attempt ended in failure. She created new accounts to add me, followed my socials, and even sent expensive gifts during my live streams. I blocked every single one. Makoto and the others also eventually failed to withstand the online backlash. In the end, they dropped out of school. Later on, I heard rumors that they transferred to some vocational high school. And why did people say that? Because they ended up provoking people far more ruthless than themselves there. The kind of people who nearly destroyed their entire families. At last, they finally experienced the consequences of bullying others. Over the years, I also saw Willow a few times at various offline events. She always bought VIP seats. With her striking appearance, she naturally stood out from the crowd instantly. But every single time, my gaze only swept across her face briefly before moving away without the slightest pause. None of my events ever happened without Willow attending. And every time she came, she carried a bouquet of flowers. Unlike elegant gift bouquets wrapped in decorative paper, the flower stems were left bare, covered with scattered thorns that often pierced her hands until they bled. Honestly, I genuinely thought there was something wrong with her mentally. Couldn't she just go see a doctor already? And so things continued like that, from when I was 18, until I turned 22. Willow kept forcing herself to repeat the same pain she once inflicted on me, carrying all of it onto herself as though suffering alone could somehow count as redemption. Then, at 22 years old, I got a girlfriend. She had a gentle temperament, quiet and graceful, and whenever she looked at me, her eyes were filled with tenderness. The day we officially announced our relationship, I happened to be performing at a live plaza event. After the unprecedented excitement and noise of the concert finally faded away, only scattered trash remained across the ground. And there, in the very center of the VIP section, lay a single withered flower.